start.
Hello to you too, Bueller. Interrupting this because we recorded this show roughly an hour before Brian Kelly got fired by LSU. So we do have a lot of talk about what the future could look like at LSU because we knew this was a possibility, but Brian Kelly had not been officially fired. But Brian Kelly is out at LSU. Joe Sloan, offensive coordinator, also out at LSU. Alex Atkins will take over the offense. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Baton Rouge, but we have plenty of conversation about what could potentially happen down there. And hope you enjoy the show. Sorry for the interruption.
A college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer for Fansided. I'm joined today by a man who prefers a certain type of red stapler, who has a next door neighbor he communicates through a paper thin wall. But I think more importantly, he just wants to watch Kung Fu with you. Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. Let's go to Tchotchkes. How are you?
Dude, how many pieces of flair do you have? That's the real question.
I don't think I have 37, but I've got some here.
Hey, you know what? I was thinking, what could we do on a Sunday? And I was thinking, two podcasts at the same time. Let's try it out.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to subscribe to Vibe magazine like 14 times, but that's
That's
okay.
right. If you're not going to subscribe to Vibe Magazine, though, you need to subscribe to the channel on YouTube and all podcast platforms.
Yes, we are doing an Office Space themed episode today because why the hell not? This isn't on Monday. We have the case of the Mondays here. I was driving back from dog sitting and I was like severe waiting in traffic on Moreland and it was awful.
You just needed to take it out on a printer or a fax machine or whatever.
We were somewhere near Starbucks when the lanes started to merge.
Oh, God. That's not what you want.
Oh no, no, I just saw this and I'm like, I gotta watch a terrible football game. The Falcons lost to the Dolphins by 24 points.
Yeah. Shouts out to my buddy Al, who is a Dolphins fan, and I messaged him and I was like, with all due respect to the Dolphins, they should fire everyone in Atlanta because this is god awful. What are we doing?
Dolphins fan living in Atlanta, Georgia Tech. I mean, does he like the Braves though?
I know he's actually a San Francisco Giants fan, to his core. So yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. So yeah, he hates everything that I love. That's great.
I mean, he has affinity for the Braves because he lives in Atlanta. So
I,
same
I
with the Falcons.
Dan feels gonna be a gangster, or at least
That's right.
Yeah, obviously we've false started here, but yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, like you're hitting that printer out in the
That's
field.
right. Hit it with a
Yeah,
baseball bat, baby.
but yeah, that's right. You did do a high school capstone class in video AV club or something like that, right?
Broadcast journalism, baby. It was a wonderful class.
And it brought us together here. Without this, we are nothing. And yeah, we've obviously false started here. We're going to move on to our first topic of the day here. Hold on, we gotta make sure I get this. First to 15. Hi, Peter. What's happening? We need to talk about your TPS reports. See, the thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's just that I don't care. Stephen B. Swift's second take, our reactions to the latest ramblings from the AP Top 25. Okay.
The AP
So,
voters don't care. I can tell you that right
dude,
now.
no, they don't. They have the same top six teams as they did last week.
Unbelievable stuff.
All right, so I'll run down through this 1 through 25, and then we'll break it up in quintiles and get on with our lives here.
Right.
It's like, you're Bob and Bob? Like, it's Bob and Bob, man. We're tag teaming
That's
this.
right.
All right, Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6, Ole Miss 7, Georgia Tech 8, Vanderbilt 9. There's a two-way tie for 10 with BYU and Miami. 12 is Notre Dame, 13 Texas Tech, 14 Tennessee, 15 Virginia, 16 Louisville, 17 Cincinnati, 18 Oklahoma, 19 Missouri, 20 Texas, and then rounding out the top 25, 21 Michigan, 22 Houston, 23 USC, 24 Utah, 25 Memphis. Let's break it down to quintiles. I've got an SEC thought and I've got a Big Ten thought with the top five.
You go ahead because actually my thoughts on the top five are I have no thoughts, like pretty standard. Don't really have any qualms with it. Yes, but as impressive as Texas A&M was, I was never going to jump them over Indiana because Indiana's been just as impressive in my opinion.
Yes. Okay, I'll go with my SEC thought first, then I'll go with my Big
Yeah.
Ten thought. Texas A&M justified being ahead of Alabama this past week, and I think that we wanted to see that, and it happened. But because Alabama owns Georgia's soul, that's the order that it needs to be in 3, 4, 5.
Correct. Yes.
I think Indiana's better than Ohio State.
I mean, it's not out of the question. And they certainly have a better resume to this point. Ohio State is very much still, I mean, if you remember correctly, the reason they vaulted up to number one was because they beat Texas. Well, what does that mean at this point? You know,
Doesn't mean a damn thing.
exactly. I mean, like technically still a ranked win, but it is definitely not the win that we thought it was at the time. And that's a good point. Like, but at the same, we'll get to it in the next quintile because I have some thoughts in the next one. I'm leaving my thoughts for the second quintile, not the first one. But when we get there, like they, it's the AP voters are frustrating me right now because they're not moving off priors in the way that they should. And it's really frustrating. I'm hoping that when we get to the college football playoff selection committee, we'll see some of this because like for all of the faults of the college football selection committee, for all of the conspiracy theories that I like to throw out there when it comes to that group, they do value strength of record more so than a lot of these other things. And so I do think strength of record will come out. And I'm not looking at the numbers, but just off vibes, Indiana's strength of record is a lot better than Ohio State's to this point.
Indiana got 11 first place votes compared to Ohio State's 54, and A&M got one. So justified there at the top three. I'm gonna move down to the next six teams because you have to tie with BYU and Miami. Don't really want to talk too much about Miami here.
Mhm.
Um, why is Oregon at six? Doesn't make any
Yes,
sense.
that
And
okay.
yeah,
That's where I want to start because my God, what are we doing? Like you have a team in Ole Miss who has two better wins than anything Oregon has done this entire season, still sitting behind them. Yes, you still keep them behind Georgia because they just lost the head-to-head. I completely understand that. But Ole Miss at six would not be a crazy thing in the world. They looked like the sixth best team in the country to me yesterday, beating Oklahoma. You talk about Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech had a 20 plus point win yesterday against a Syracuse team that is not very good, but like they've done nothing but take care of business. They have a zero in the loss column, and you move them down a spot so you can move Ole Miss up, move Oregon back, and move Ole Miss and Georgia Tech up. What are we doing here? This doesn't make any sense. Hell, I would have Vanderbilt ahead of Oregon at this point.
let's
Vanderbilt has
go.
a better resume than Oregon at this point. Like, what are we do? Like, just because they have the O on the helmet, just because they have the sick, Grateful Dead uniforms that Oregon rocked yesterday, which those were sick. I'll give them their credit there. Those were pretty nasty.
What to do,
But
Basil?
yeah, I know exactly. What does that matter? I like because they Oregon is in this spot because they are a bigger brand. Who have they beat? Who have they beat?
And as a matter of fact, I'm looking at their schedule. So they're 7-1. They beat Montana State in the FCS. They beat Oklahoma State, who have fired by Gundy. You won at Northwestern, which is your best win on the season, but Northwestern's only 5-3. Or you beat Oregon State 41-7. That team sucks, and that fired their head coach. You beat Penn State at Happy Valley back when we thought Penn State is good. They're booty cheeks. You lost by 10 to Indiana. You beat the snot out of Rutgers, who's not very good, and then you beat Wisconsin by 14. Wisconsin scored on you. That's all I need. That's all I need to say.
And let's not forget the Penn State win that, is propping Oregon up for whatever reason, given what Penn State is at this point. That game was in overtime. Like that was a
Yeah,
very close game.
I'm sitting here thinking about this. I don't know if Oregon's necessarily in the same boat as Ole Miss was, but you may need to win out to guarantee yourself in the playoff. Granted, they have a 75.4% chance to make it. They're out of, based on FPI, sixth in the country. But like at Iowa, that's a trap game. You're probably going to beat Minnesota. You probably need to beat either USC or Washington, and you have a Washington problem.
Mhm.
That's I do not trust this Oregon team. So if we look down this rankings, Ole Miss has a more compelling resume than them. Georgia Tech has a more compelling resume. Vanderbilt, BYU, Miami, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, and then you get to Tennessee. That's all I need to
Mhm.
say.
Yeah, 100%. And like I understand like there's always going to be a balance between resume and eye test, and I fully understand that. And like out the Wisconsin game notwithstanding, there have been a lot of times against bad teams when Oregon has absolutely passed the eye test. I don't want to like my qualms here. I think they should probably still be a top 10 team. I think they
Yeah,
are a very good football team. My qualm is that there are other very good football teams who have done more than them to this point.
yeah. I'd have Oregon about 8 or 9. That's about right.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I guess the other thing I had, because we just completely just squashed the Ducks like rubber
Yeah,
duck.
sorry guys. False
Between B
BP.
it's fine. Between Georgia Tech, BYU, and Vanderbilt, I think if only one of them makes the playoff, I think it's going to be BYU.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. I was looking. I like again. I don't have these committed to memory, but I did look at strength of record late last night and a little bit this morning to see if it updated. BYU is still not in the top 12 in terms of strength of record, and
No,
so that does worry me a little bit, especially with some of the games that they do have coming up on the schedule.
they are better at FPI. They're at 69.4, which is only zero point 0.4 behind Ole Miss. Georgia Tech's at 50.3, and then Vanderbilt's at 43.9. Again, I think all of them would be in whenever we get to this on Wednesday or for Thursday show. I know that'll be Thursday. We'll be dressed up like crazy Thursday
That's
morning.
right. It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be crazy. It got my days mixed up. Don't really have a lot of thoughts about Miami, but like they're hanging around. They got the bounce back win over Stanford, who's not horrible, but not good.
Yeah, definitely not good, but they're also, I mean, you got to show up.
Yeah, you got to show up. 12, 13, 14, 15. Um, that feels like the right cluster of teams, but and probably in that right order. But as you go down, it's like a less and less is this really a playoff team kind of a vibe? Like Notre Dame, yeah, I can see that. Texas Tech, definitely. Tennessee, maybe. Then you get to Virginia. I mean, they almost lost to your boys.
Bro,
It's
they got an overtime win over North Carolina and moved up a spot. I joked in the NCAA division chat. It's the only thing I've said in there, I think, all weekend, and it was they should have been DQ'd from the top 25 for beating North Carolina by one. Like
uh,
this Virginia thing, like this is a good football team. It is not a great football team, and it's not even a really good football team, frankly. They are luck boxing their way. Like three overtime wins in a row is what we're talking about here. You have Florida State, Louisville, and then the North Carolina win. Like, man, I don't know. You had some crazy turnover luck in that Louisville game. Like if you look at success rate and stuff, Louisville was the better team. It was just turnovers. So I just have a lot of trouble really figuring
yeah.
out what we're gonna like. I don't see this withstanding. Congratulations on being a top 15 team. You wouldn't be if I had a vote.
No, you got a 14.6 chance to make the playoff, which is just ahead of like Louisville, but like you're not in the same class as Miami and Georgia Tech right now.
No, not even close. And I mean, like, it's that says everything, especially considering the fact that, as I mentioned previously, not only do they have a one-game lead over Miami in the ACC standings, they own the tiebreaker over Miami right now. And like, that's what the advanced analytics think of Virginia is that you still only have a 14% chance when you have a very clear runway to get to Charlotte.
They're hold on for dear life, just like Dave Matthews has had.
That's right.
Bah, bah. All right, 16 through 20. You've got two teams that it's the keg of nails rivals that I think have earned their spot as like playoff spoilers. They aren't going to make it in Louisville and Cincinnati. And then you got three frauds there in the SEC in Oklahoma, Mizzou, and Texas.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past Louisville and Cincinnati, which frankly I would have had ahead of Virginia, but that's neither here nor there. But once you get down to the three SEC teams, you kind of get into the tier that I'm calling they're good teams. They're definitely not playoff teams. Like that's kind of how I view that group.
This is what we thought Illinois was going to be, and
Yeah.
Illinois is not that, or South Carolina. Maybe we overinflated South Carolina, but Texas is not good. Missouri, I feel bad for, but and then Oklahoma, the schedule is just too brutal to overcome.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think that Texas I'll have some reservations still. But Oklahoma and Missouri I still think are two good football teams. It's just with Missouri as we talked about on Saturday night, like such a thin margin for error. Now you're without Bo Pribula. Like it's just, a tough deck and Oklahoma, they are on the ascent. They have not fully ascended yet, and when you have to face the schedule they have, that was never going to be good enough.
No, Mizzou also doesn't have like they have opportunities to get wins, but like losing to Vanderbilt and Alabama puts you behind the eight ball
Yeah.
considerably. You have to win out. You got to beat Oklahoma, but at that point, is Oklahoma even going to be good?
Yeah, right. What's that win gonna mean by that point? And when you're playing the corpse of Oklahoma because they're gonna get beaten into oblivion.
I know it's the corpse of Oklahoma. It's like the Sooner Skinner is just on its side.
Yeah,
It's like a
right.
they call that a Norman beached whale.
They call the Sooner Schooner a hearse on random occasions.
Oh damn, that's so mean, but that's true. And then the last five, I think Michigan and Memphis can make the playoff. I
Mhm.
don't think USC can, and Houston's like could get to Arlington, but they'll run out of gas. And I don't know if Utah can get there.
Yeah, Utah, I mean, their path would be winning the Big 12, but that's really hard when you've already lost to the two teams ahead of you in Texas Tech and BYU. So
Yeah.
like you're fighting a real uphill battle if you're Utah. I still think you like again, I think all five of these teams in 21 through 25 are very good teams. Like
Mhm.
I not teams I would want to see on any given Saturday by any stretch of the imagination because you know you're going to be in for a dogfight. But what their prospects are outside of Memphis, who obviously has the upper hand in the G5 race right now.
The UAB loss isn't good, but obviously you've got, the big win over South Florida. You have a Power Four win over Arkansas.
Yeah.
That helps you out a little bit. We know Memphis can make the playoff. I mean, that's based on where they are in the college football hierarchy here. Michigan has the potential to throw a wrench in the entire thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what would happen with rankings wise if they were to beat an 11-0 Ohio State team in the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. They could be the third Big Ten team, and Oregon's left out.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Michigan would still potentially be in line to make the college football or to make the Big Ten championship game if they beat Ohio State in the final game of the regular season, because
Yeah,
they're one of their losses to Oklahoma out of conference.
yeah, 1 o'clock. And then USC's already lost. USC would technically get there too, but like
Yeah,
USC might have to lose a game, but that's possible because you'd have the head-to-head over Ohio State, and then you don't play Indiana. So yeah, you need some USC help, but I think right there it certainly could happen for you.
yeah. I was actually thinking about this today and just kind of rolling my eyes in dread, but the tiebreakers posts are not going to be limited to the Big 12 this year, unfortunately.
I think all four leagues are going to have some nonsense.
Yeah, it's a whole hell of a lot of nonsense we got going on, which can't say I'm particularly thrilled by, but whatever, we'll get it done.
Yeah, like I said, Michigan's the Indiana this year. They can just mess everything up.
That's right.
All right, that's pretty good here. I don't have any other thoughts here. So, a serious question though. Why don't you make the minimum pieces of flair 37? Playoffs, you kidding me? Our projected 12-team playoff brackets, our first four teams out. It's hard getting the quotes in here,
Oh,
man.
100%, 100%.
All right. So I would venture to guess that we have the same five teams in the top five, maybe in a different order.
I would say I would almost say that we have them in the same order, Bueller.
Okay. All right. Number one, I've got Indiana, two, Ohio State, three, Texas A&M, four, Alabama, five, Georgia.
All right, we do not have them in the same order. I
No, we don't.
apologize.
No.
I have Indiana one, so I thought we were off to a good start there. I have Texas A&M at two. I have Ohio State at three. I have Alabama at four and Georgia at five.
Okay. I almost put Texas A&M ahead of Ohio State, and I think I understand your logic.
Yeah,
If
it's
A&M,
projection about winning the conference championship.
yeah, because if you win the SEC, you're going to be the two seed,
Yeah,
and Ohio State's still going to probably the loser in Indianapolis is probably going to get a bye here. But
yeah. I have the big the four teams I have getting a bye right now are the current participants in the SEC and Big Ten championship games, and the winners are 1-2, and the losers are 3-4.
yeah, it is interesting if Georgia could go 11-1 and not make it, and if Alabama were to lose, I guess they'd still probably would go ahead of Georgia because of the head-to-head, even though they'd probably be what like 11-2.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think the head to head would matter in this situation and the fact that they got to Atlanta.
The fact Alabama and Georgia's 4-5 scares the hell out of me, and I'm so mad. I'm
Not
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 looking.
what you want as a Georgia fan, that's for
No,
sure.
no, it's going to make for a really awful post of John the Dog. It's going to make for an interesting segment here on Thursday while
It's,
we're
it's
dressed
going to be a
up.
lot of doom posting, I do feel.
That's not going to be good. All right, six. I've got Ole Miss.
I also have Ole Miss at six. Okay, I thought I was going to be a little too aggressive there, but I like the Rebels at six.
I know Ole Miss is good, and more importantly, I know that Ole Miss is going to make the playoff because they're probably going to go 11-1.
Yeah, exactly.
And at 7, I have Miami at 7.
Okay. Okay. So I have Oregon at 7 just because, again, I don't think the resume is that impressive, but I also think this team is good enough to not really like be scared for the rest of the season. Like you do have a Washington problem. USC is a good team, but like I think Oregon is better than both of those teams. And like at the end of the day, like they're going to be 11, they're going to be, die at Georgia in terms of their resume to get in. Like they're not going to have the same caliber of wins that Georgia does, so they're going to be 2 seeds behind them, but at the same time, they're going to be in the same mix as an 11-1 team.
I just think Oregon's so soft. But I have Oregon at 8. I just
I look, I don't, this is not me saying I think Oregon's going to do well in
no.
the college football playoff. This is me saying what I think the season is going to play out as and where they're going to end up in seeding wise.
The reason I have Miami ahead of Oregon is because, well, one, I think winning the ACC is a little more clout than being a 10-2 team out of the Big Ten. The other thing is I know that Miami could beat good teams.
Mhm.
I don't know if Oregon can do that just yet. I think that they
Completely fair.
can. I'm not, it's not certain.
So at 8, I have Georgia Tech instead of Miami. And honestly, to me, this is just giving the B some respect
The
because,
bees.
so I mean, like, really what it comes down to for me is Georgia Tech hasn't lost a football game. They're most likely going to be in Charlotte. And if they're not playing Miami, there's a really good chance that they're, going into the playoff as ACC champions 12-1. And like, even if Miami is 11-1, that's going to get Georgia Tech a higher seed. So that's kind of just how I'm looking at it currently, subject to change. But I mean, Georgia Tech does deserve our respect in that regard to some degree.
They do. They are my first team out.
Okay, okay. And I'm assuming that's because you have Miami eventually getting to the ACC championship game.
I feel like you're going to lose back-to-back games to Georgia and Miami, and then you're going to be like SMU, and because SMU failed, for as good as Georgia Tech has been, people are going to look at that and like, can we get a little bit of a bigger brand in the playoff?
Yeah.
And that's not fair to the Jackets and everything like that. But you got to get a quality win here. It's almost like you got to give all you can to beat Georgia, and if you don't, you may come up short in Charlotte. But it's just it's a dichotomy thing here. And then I also just kind of thought head to head, I'd probably take a lot of teams ahead of them there. They're the one that's screwed because of the group of 5.
No, 100%. And if things were to play out in that way, I would be with you. I'm for right now though, like as little faith as I have in Virginia, the fact that they have essentially a 2-game cushion on Miami and a cakewalk of a schedule in the rest of the ACC, like there's still a world where they can finish 3-1 for the rest of the season, which I'm not ruling out.
Now, I'll talk about Virginia a little bit later. At
And I think Georgia
not
Tech would beat the brakes off of Virginia in Charlotte. So there's that.
that's a guarantee there.
Yeah.
At 9, I've got Vanderbilt.
Okay, nice. I hated to do it. I have Vanderbilt as my first team out.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's okay.
I like I, I'll go ahead and spoil it. I still have Notre Dame in the playoff field, and
So
that's what pushes Vanderbilt out for me.
yeah, I'm kind of the belief right now that the SEC is going to get 5 teams in this year. Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M have separated. Ole Miss is trying to catch up with them. I would venture to guess that those 4 are probably going to make it in based on what we see going forward. And it comes down to like the Vanderbilt Tennessee game. And even
Mhm.
if it's in Knoxville, I still think Vanderbilt's a little bit more clutch.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately gets them in at, they're going to be like 11-1, 10-2 sort of thing. They're going to
Yeah.
be Indiana last year, but probably have the same sort of result.
Yeah, I just like I feel strongly that Miami is going to be in the playoff. I think they're going to be 11-1, and when I have Miami and Notre Dame in, that doesn't leave a spot for Vanderbilt. And like I would frankly, I would much rather see Vanderbilt in the college football playoff than Notre Dame. That would bring me joy as a college football fan to not have like I think Notre Dame is a very good football team. I don't think that they're remotely a national championship caliber football team.
Now,
I don't think Vanderbilt's national championship caliber either, but I think they're a hell of a lot more fun to watch than Notre Dame.
I would agree. Have you said your 9 yet?
I have not. Sorry, my 9 is BYU.
And
Um,
BYU is my 10.
yeah, and I have Miami at 10 to round us out before we get to the G5 champion. But yeah, I have BYU at 9. it's like I said it last week, and I'm gonna keep maintaining this. I'm gonna have I really just want to write down Big 12 champion in this
Right.
spot because I'm still not thoroughly convinced that BYU is going to be the Big 12 champion. And as I'm looking at it now, I think Texas Tech probably beats them in a couple weeks. But as for now, BYU has done everything that's been asked of them, and so I have to give them their credit here.
They've been incredibly steady. Like of all the teams that are still undefeated, maybe outside of Indiana, like that's been about as steady as possible for
100%.
BYU. So the BYU is 10. Notre Dame is my last team in at 11.
Okay, nice.
But who's your 11? Was that
So I have Georgia Tech and Miami in the field, and then Notre Dame at 11.
Notre Dame at 11? Okay. And then all right, G5. I wonder I don't know who you got. It's gonna be all over the place.
I kept it simple, Memphis, but
I did
I don't feel strongly at all.
I did not. I picked Tulane.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I think Tulane's you got the tough loss to Ole Miss. You have two Power Four wins in the non-conference over Duke and Northwestern. Northwestern's probably going to be a bowl team. Duke has a runway to do it, so
Yeah.
that matters. And I think, it may come down to like I think they actually have to play Memphis later. So if
Mhm.
you win that game, Memphis has a worse loss to UAB. That may get you in there. Plus, John Summerall is just damn good as a head coach, and we'll
Ooh.
see what happens there with the Greenies. But I decided to have a little fun here. I know
Hell yeah.
we've not really agreed very much on the group of five this year at all.
No, no, and I think that the group of five has bore out why. There's no great team in the group of five. There's a lot of really good teams, but like there's no Boise State of last year. There's no
There,
like clear separator.
there may be one team that's great, and we just wake up and disrespect the troops, and that's Navy.
It's true. It's very, very true. And Tulane at Memphis is a little Friday night special we get in 2 weeks, so that'll be fun.
Oh yeah. All right. So my first four out are Georgia Tech, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Virginia.
My first four out are Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Virginia, and then I only wrote three because I'm a moron. So I only have three written down.
It doesn't matter. Let's get to some matchups here. So yeah, I got Indiana and Ohio State, Texas A&M and Alabama on a bye. Your first round, Georgia versus Tulane, the Art Richard special, man. We are gonna party up in Athens, brother.
Damn right, brother.
Uh, 6-11, Ole Miss versus Notre Dame. That's uh that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that game will definitely happen, you know?
7-10, you've got convicts versus Mormons with Miami versus BYU.
Love that.
And then 8-9, Oregon hosting Vanderbilt.
Oh, hell yes. Diego
Diego
Pavia is
Pavia.
gonna, yeah, he might give Phil Knight a heart attack. Like, truly.
He might steal Dan Lanning's wife.
Yeah, truly, truly. Just steal the tat right off his ribs.
All right, what's your matchups?
All right, so four buys. We have Indiana, Texas A&M, Ohio State, and Alabama. 5-12. I forgot to mention this. In terms of like my uncertainty about the G5, what I literally have written down here is Memphis, I guess. So, we're just throwing a name out there. But I have Memphis at Georgia.
Yeah,
Gonna take the dogs in that one.
yeah,
I have Notre Dame at Ole Miss as well. Just in a different matchup, or no, same matchup as you. Give me Ole Miss. Uh,
yeah.
to give Oregon their comeuppance, I have Miami and Mario Cristobal returning to Eugene to play Oregon. Hell yes, give me
Yes,
all of that.
give me that, please.
And then in a matchup that is destined for 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, BYU at Georgia Tech.
Make Dan Orlovsky call that game.
Dude, 100%. Hell, we might have a chance to call that game at this rate. Like,
Well,
golly.
let's do it. That'd be unbelievable. Play that at play that at that Turner Field,
Yeah,
brother.
that's what I was gonna say. Play it. Hell yes.
Oh man, that is unbelievable here. And I gotta ask you a question, Cody. What would you do if you had $1 million? Do Haas or do Haas? Has Fernando Mendoza locked up the Heisman Trophy after a brilliant 9-week performance over UCLA?
I'm gonna go do Haas two S's just because of the way that this is phrased, which is locked up. Nothing's locked up,
Yeah.
man. We like I understand that we've got roughly a month left in the season, and like you want to start making sweeping declarations. There's a hell of a lot that can still happen in this college football season, and that includes the Heisman race. He is the rightful favorite right now.
Yes.
There's no question about that. And if he continues to do what he has done to this point, I truly don't think that there's anything anyone else can do to catch him. Like, if he continues putting up the numbers that he has, if Indiana goes 12 and 0 and makes the Big Ten championship game, I don't see a way anyone's catching Fernando. That includes Julian Sand, that includes Marcel Reed. I don't care. His numbers and the team that he is playing on and the narrative that's going to be created by that is too great. But to say that's locked up and to say that there's not a dud out there, that's foolish thinking. You can't be
Yeah.
doing that. And when we're coming out of week 9.
No. That was a phenomenal performance he had over the Bruins. They basically beat him on one play, but the guy I think to watch here is actually Marcel Reed because if
Mhm.
you're 12 and 0 and you win the ICC at A&M, you got a really good chance there, man. Like you would have to presumably beat either Ty Simpson or Gunnar Stockton in Atlanta. Like that's more of a home game for both of them than
Yeah.
you. That could potentially happen. The one thing that I think hurts Fernando Mendoza, and it's just, it's not who he is or where he came from or what he's about, but like Indiana has not been front and center as
Yeah.
much as they probably should be for this season. Like the prime, I mean, outside of the Oregon game, like where have you really had that stage where you're like, oh, I gotta tune in and watch this game, and you're beating the tar out of the opponent?
I mean, it's definitely fair to play devil's advocate with that, though. With Texas A&M having a little bit more spotlight than Indiana, it is very easy for you to look at the box score, see Fernando Mendoza's number, and they weren't in the spotlight game, and you look and you go, oh, obviously this is Fernando Mendoza. There's a hell of a lot of talent around Fernando Mendoza, don't get me wrong. So, like, I don't want to say that this is like not equal when it comes to Marcel Reed and Fernando Mendoza. They're both working with incredibly talented players and skill position players around them. But when you watch Texas A&M, yes, Marcel Reed is starting to get his flowers, but there's still a lot of credit being given to Casey Concepcion, to Le'Veon Moss, to Ruben Owens, to oh god, Craver, the other wide receiver. Like
Yeah.
there's so much like individual credit that I feel like narrative wise when we're talking about voting, that's going to get taken away from Marcel Reed because they are in the spotlight and you can see how it's happening. Now, if Indiana wasn't more spotlights, I would be saying the same thing about, well, Elijah Surratt's stealing a little bit of that shine or Omar Cooper Jr. stealing a little bit of that shine. But because they're not in the spotlight, it's much easier to box score scout and look at that and say, like, I think in a vacuum with what these two players are doing, they are much closer than the Heisman race actually is. But to play devil's advocate to your point, I actually think that could actually help Fernando Mendoza and hurt Marcel Reed to some degree because this Texas A&M is going to be in more of a spotlight, which means the skill position players, which are incredible at Texas A&M, are also going to get that spotlight.
And that'll hurt Julian Sand and Ty
Oh yeah,
Simpson as well. With Julian Sand with Jeremiah Smith and with Ty Simpson with Jeremy Bernard
yeah,
and,
100%.
and cousin Ryan Williams if and when he's in mentally ready to play, I guess.
He's a Gen Z superstar. There's no doubt about it.
But like you look at everybody in here that's in and around the rankings, like everybody's quarterback on all these teams is still like largely a contender. That includes Dante Moore, Trinidad Chambliss, Bear
Yeah.
Bachmeyer, maybe not Carson Beck, but like Haynes King, Diego Pavia, not Arch Manning.
I'll mention
Um,
him, Gunnar Stockton. You haven't
Gunnar
said his
Stockton,
name.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, those guys are all. And then once you get down to like Notre Dame, that's more about Jeremiah Love than anything else. And then
Yeah,
Texas Tech's had some, Bear Morton's been in and out of the lineup with Hammond coming in. Aguilar, maybe Byron Brown.
yeah,
And then it gets, yeah, but Mendoza doesn't have it locked up, but he's the favorite. Like you're right. If he sustains this, nobody is going to catch him. The only guy that could maybe is Reed, but
yeah. I agree with that.
Reed just started further back than him.
I will say that I would give like if we're doing percentile like divvying up like guys that could potentially catch Fernando Mendoza in this race, I would give Marcel Reed about 85%. I would give Sayin about 15% on the off chance because let's say Sayin keeps producing at the level he is, Ohio State is as dominant as they have been to this season. They go into the Michigan game in the big house, and if Sayin puts up like a 4 touchdown, 300-yard performance against Michigan to exercise those demons to, as the defending national champions, complete a 12-0 season, that could be narrative wise enough to like push it a little bit and make it more of a conversation.
And then you beat Indiana in Indianapolis. That
Yeah.
would do it too. I had like another thought here. Oh yeah, I think one of the things that comes great point there about saying I didn't even think about that because I'm all over the place. I had a thought about Reed and Mendoza, and I think the guy who's the conductor, I think Signetti, who we forget is a Nick Saban disciple, we always do.
Yeah, 100%.
He'll be he'll be like a Lincoln Riley Dick and Chip Kelly and run it up. Whereas
Oh
Colin
yeah.
Klein doesn't have a mean bone in his body. He won't do that there for defensive minded head coach Mike Elko.
Unless they're playing LSU, in which case he has no problem doing so. But that's
No,
neither here nor there.
no, that's because Brian Kelly takes God's name in vain.
Yeah, well, that and I don't know if you've seen all the discourse about Moffitt, the strength coach that Brian Kelly fired
Yes.
today. Yeah, I think that had a little bit to do with that.
What exactly was like? Give the listeners basically kind of the tea of that, if you
So
can do it in a nutshell.
yeah, I'll give you the TLDR version. When Brian Kelly was first hired, one of his first like house cleaning things was to hire or to excuse me to fire a longtime strength coach. I'm blanking on the first name, but it's Moffitt, and he was a especially based on what I've seen today on social media, he was a like program favorite among the players, like just a dude that the players loved. And he was hired by Texas A&M after he was fired by Brian Kelly. And it is not a coincidence that as Texas A&M has found its footing over the past 2 years, that they've absolutely played bully ball against LSU. Like that's kind of the gist of what everyone's getting at. And a lot of former LSU players are using it as an indication of Brian Kelly just simply not understanding the culture in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, Tommy Moffitt was like the original guy. Like he's the guy that I think Scott Cochran kind of like learned from. I think Cochran had been with like in and around like the Pelicans, then went to Bama and everything like that. Like Tommy Moffitt was like an institution there in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, 100%. And now he's at A&M, and yeah, I think he put a little birdie in Colin Klein's ear and saying, "Hey, don't stop, don't
No,
stop."
don't stop. It is a shame though. I don't think A&M and LSU are going to be annual rivals moving forward.
Which is crazy,
They
absolutely
should
insane.
they should do it. Like I know everybody says Alabama, LSU. No, no, LSU A&M is just weird. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, 100%.
Oh my God. And on that note, what would you say you do here? It's getting hot here. Brian Kelly stinks. Who on God's green earth is going to replace him at LSU? It's I, I can't believe it's happening. We tried this last night. The only two names I could come up with after midnight on the East Coast was John Summerall out of Tulane and Gus Malzahn coming back to the SEC.
Yeah, which again, I don't hate the Summerall thing. I just don't know if that's going to be good enough for LSU.
I've got a few candidates. I'll hear what you've got to say, and I've got about two or three, maybe five that I think are like interesting to really good.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and tell you, I don't have many that I think are very good. I have one that I think would actually work, but I think that they might burn Baton Rouge to the ground if they did it, and that's James Franklin.
I did not even consider James Franklin, so you go ahead, brother.
I think James Franklin would do a hell of a job at LSU because my working theory with Penn State right now is that they're going to find out pretty damn quickly that they did not have a James Franklin problem, that they had a Penn State problem.
Really?
And like I think that Penn State has a rich history. I think Penn State has some advantages, but you do not have the advantages that a Michigan does. You do not have the advantages that an Ohio State does, clearly. You and like nowadays you don't have the advantages in the new Big Ten that Oregon does. In theory, not hasn't bore out this way because of Lincoln Riley things. You don't have the advantages that USC does. Like you are playing at best, like from the fifth most advantageous position in your conference, and that's not including Indiana, who is on the come up.
Yes.
So it could be the sixth most advantageous spot. LSU, we talked about it on Saturday night, is one of the best jobs in the SEC. We know that James Franklin can win in the SEC. We watched him do it at freaking Vanderbilt, and one of the names I would guess that you're probably going to throw out there is Clark Lee. And I think Clark Lee could work it. Okay, if you're not, that's great
No,
because I don't think Clark Lee is leaving Vanderbilt.
no.
And that's like, so I'm not even considering him in this conversation. But I know James Franklin knows what it takes to win in the SEC. He got Vanderbilt to get him resources in a time when NIL was not evening the playing field. And then you throw in the player development. When I look at Brian Kelly's shortcomings, for all of the talent, he hasn't known how to construct a roster. He hasn't known how to develop these players into being NFL caliber talents in the way that previous LSU regimes obviously did a fantastic job of. And he doesn't have a feel for coaching staffs. I think James Franklin checks all those boxes. I don't think LSU is going to do it at all. Like, I think that there would be a revolt if that were to happen. But I do think in a world where it did happen, it would work.
Potentially, the one thing that I'm concerned about with James Franklin is, are you making your rivals fearful?
Yeah.
Does A&M fear this? Does Arkansas? Well, Arkansas doesn't matter. Does Ole Miss fear this? And then
Yeah.
how do the power brokers of Alabama, Georgia, and Texas feel about this? They'll be like, okay, we'll just beat them like a drum, like we do Auburn and Hugh Freeze. So I do think James Franklin could make it work. I think it might be more of a Penn State problem than maybe even I realized. As far as Clark Lee is concerned, I think be a fantastic fit, but dude, he's got it made there at alma mater. Why would he leave?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, it's not, it has nothing to do with the fit. And I think, like, truly, like, I think LSU fans at this point with what Vanderbilt's doing, LSU fans will be freaking hyped to have Clark Lee coming into town, especially for a dude who has a hell of a lot of personality. And it's like, it's authenticity. It's not Brian Kelly personality, it is authentic personality. Like, Clark Lee, what you see is what you get, and you like what you get. And so, like, I do think it would work, but like, I just don't see him leaving Vanderbilt. I don't care what
No.
the job is. I think he is quite happy where he is in Nashville.
I mean, he may go back to Notre Dame, but even at that point, like what you're doing at Vanderbilt is what you could be doing at Notre Dame. Why do that? So I've got like an extreme dark horse. I got two where like, okay, and then I've got two really good ones.
Okay.
What do you want first?
Let's start in the middle. Let's go with the two like pretty good ones.
Okay, this one would be a lateral move. I think the optics would be terrible, but I think he'd do a great job. That'd be Lane Kiffin.
Oh, yeah. That could definitely work. And in terms of the lateral move, LSU got Brian Kelly to make a ostensibly a lateral move.
My thing is, if you go 10-2 at LSU, that's not good enough. If you do that at Ole Miss, you are good enough. I think Lane Kiffin needs to stay put. And I don't know the only way I think he would. I don't even think Florida's really that worth it. I mean, you basically stay here until like uh, Warren Buffett gives you Berkshire Hathaway and you take over Nebraska. Like I
Right.
like Lane's kind of got it made here, and he may not see that, but like he'd be able to recruit. He'd bring Edo back on the staff. He'd be able to do all of those things here. Um, but like what you can achieve at Ole Miss outside of maybe winning a national title at LSU, it's relatively the same. That's my only apprehension there. I
Yeah.
hope Lane stays at Ole Miss, but he may not do that.
No, he may not. I would say he's more like I would venture to guess he's more inclined to go to Florida than he would be LSU. And I think LSU's a better job, but I think that Florida is probably more enticing to Lane. Someone who
I think,
idolizes Steve Spurrier.
I mean, I think that's career suicide, but yeah, best of luck, Lane.
Hey, has that stopped Lane Kiffin before, brother?
No, he's already committed career suicide, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Multiple times over.
My guy's got 9 lives. I'm not worried about it.
This one is an extreme outlier, but like could work. I don't know if he fits the southeastern footprint, but what did we say about Kalen DeBoer? Plus all the other guys, Nick Saban, was he from the southeast? No, he's from West Virginia.
Right.
I mean, Les Miles is a Michigan man at Oklahoma State. Edo, yes, but Edo had been around. I think you have to look at Matt Campbell potentially.
Okay.
And I think Matt Campbell would leave Iowa State for only one of three jobs. He would leave for USC. He would leave for Penn State. He might leave for LSU.
Yeah.
You have to pay him out the wazoo to get him to go to Wisconsin. But like what he does defensively, I think could work and would make LSU. This is such a boomer bust one, but this is one like I think he would actually entertain leaving Iowa State if he was offered this.
I could see it. Absolutely. I mean, it is, I mean, when you think about like we've talked about it many times before, but like when you think about the idea of him leaving for USC, minus the, potential ties, like he doesn't have the ties to the Southeast, he doesn't have the ties necessarily to LSU, but like in terms of the upgrade and resources, in terms of the need to set a culture in a place like the way that he has at Iowa State, there's a lot of attractiveness to what Matt Campbell could do in Baton Rouge.
He has an eye for quarterbacks too.
Hmm.
Like Purdy was really good for him. Purdy's had success in the NFL, and Rocco Beck, he shows flashes here
He also
too.
knows how to put his quarterbacks in positions to succeed, which is
Yes.
not something that can be said of Brian Kelly.
No, like I mean, I don't think he'd be considered for it, but like if he was,
No.
he'd have to kind of take that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, I'm gonna give you the dark horse.
Yeah, that's
This
what I
would
was going to ask for, so I'm ready for it.
guy, I know his alma mater is opening up, but we're talking about a guy who's the ultimate front runner. Put Shane Beamer in Baton Rouge.
I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
He's the Southern version of PJ Fleck. If you put PJ Fleck in Michigan, he's winning national titles. If you put Shane Beamer at LSU, he's getting them. He's getting to them.
No, 100%. Like I've seen a lot of people getting on Shane Beamer this season because of South Carolina not living up to the preseason expectations. Like even at like ours were definitely shooting the moon and when we were a little bit over our skis with what we were thinking about South Carolina. But even like more modest projections, they're still falling short of that. Man, that's like outside of hiring Mike Shula, a lot of that is not on Shane Beamer.
No,
It's really not. It South Carolina is a tough place to win consistently in the SEC. Like going back to what I said about Penn State and Penn State having a Penn State problem as more than a James Franklin problem. South Carolina has a South Carolina problem, man. You are mid-tier SEC through and through. And like where you are geographically, you're not just competing with the SEC either. You're competing with the heart of the ACC as well in terms of recruiting. Like it is a very difficult place to sustain success. And I think Shane Beamer does as good a job as you could ask anyone in modern college football to do so. And you give him the resources and the advantages that you have at LSU, I definitely think it could work.
I mean he's got a. I mean he played in the ACC for his dad, but he's got SEC ties, not just in South Carolina. He coached at Georgia. He coached at Oklahoma. Like he's a Lincoln Riley disciple. He's a Kirby Smart disciple. He's a Steve Spurrier guy. I think he could make it work there at LSU. He'd make it feel really big.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and again, kind of to the point I was making about Clark Lee, like there's not an ounce of Shane Beamer that feels inauthentic. Like I think he's
No.
just a crazy dude. Like I think that's just who he is as a human being, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he's just on the sidelines, just huffing us smelling salts out there, trying to
Yeah,
play wide receiver. You're
100%.
not gonna throw me the ball. And on his best day, he thinks he's London Humphreys, but he wasn't. But that's okay.
That's right.
All right, my two really good ones. I think Shane Beamer would be interesting. Number two, this was my number one before I went to bed last night. Come back to the SEC, Dan Lanning.
Ooh. My okay. Do I think it would work? Yes. And do I think it would work better than it is at Oregon? Yes, absolutely, I do. Because I do think that at his heart, Dan Lanning is an SEC football coach. And I think at his heart, Dan Lanning is trying to institute an SEC culture at a program that's just not ready for it at Oregon right now. I think it is a big juxtaposition that he is fighting right now in Eugene. Having said that, the fact that he didn't seem to seriously consider Alabama would worry me that he wouldn't consider LSU.
I think maybe that's just too much respect for Saban or whatnot. But you get some new ink on there. You get like Mike the Tiger.
There we go.
I don't know. The thing with Oregon, this is like Dan Lanning is the right coach to help them ever win a national title. But like the reason why I don't know if Oregon ever will and why I think Texas A&M might, maybe Texas Tech is because you're recruiting essentially the same sort of impressionable people, the one that are like blown away by like NIL and uniforms and all that other dumbass that, doesn't matter. But you're doing that in Texas,
Yeah.
where football is everything, whereas Oregon has 4, maybe 5 million people. So you got to get Northern California, you got to get more nationally, and you're just not built on the homegrown talent that you need to have some sort of baseline, like for like what this football currency is. He knows defense. I think if he was hired there, anybody in the SEC would be like, OS, we got Dane Lanning here
Yeah.
in Baton Rouge. He knows quarterbacks. He's gotten guys out of the Southeast, Bo Nix at Auburn. Dylan Gabriel had played, at UCF and Oklahoma, not SEC, but Southeast extended from Hawaii. And then Dante Moore, that was the guy that everybody wanted anyway.
Yeah,
So
100%. He was on everyone's radar.
I don't think he would do it, but like that's kind of my reservation. And that's why I go to number one. And number one it might actually be the right choice if they do move on from Brian Kelly.
Let me hear it.
Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah. I mean, it is everything I said about Shane Beamer applies to Eli Drinkwitz.
Yes. So Eli has an ungodly amount of leverage. Even with Bo Pribula being out, you have your home state, Arkansas has opened up. Florida has opened up. People think you could work at Penn State. The school that you're most closely tied to before becoming a head coach at Auburn is potentially opening up. LSU might be better than all those jobs. And guess who works at LSU? That'd be Blake Baker, your former defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
And if you don't like Joe Sloan, you can bring Kirby Moore with you.
you should do that. Let me be very clear. You should do that if you take this job, Eli.
If Eli takes that job, they're a top eight team within 2 years, easily.
They might be a top 8 team next year, brother.
Yeah. With or without Nussmeier, I don't know. Do you bring Bo with you? You maybe go get somebody else out of the portal. I mean, you have Van Buren. You might have a good shot there too.
100%. Like you have options aplenty. You have and I like the other thing I keep thinking about too is when you think about Brian Kelly in like kind of one of the more underrated shortcomings, I think, because LSU has still had like high-end recruiting classes, they've also lost a lot of DBs from the state of Louisiana, which is not something was happening under at Coach O. It was not something that was happening under Les Miles. It was not something that was happening under Nick Saban. And you think to what Eli Drinkwitz was able to do in Missouri and kind of reestablish Missouri's footprint of recruiting the high-end talent that is available in Missouri. If he's able to do that in Louisiana, now we're cooking. Now we're back to what LSU is supposed to be.
So Brian Kelly cut his teeth like tight ends and offensive linemen. That's kind of his thing. Drink didn't play college football. I think he played a little bit in high school, had injury or whatever. I think he's more of a running backs, wide receivers guy. Mizzou and App State could always run the football. Auburn could always run the football. I mean,
Hmm.
Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in the SEC, arguably.
Yeah.
LSU, when they've got a really good running back with a complementary defense, they get back to playing championship caliber football. Obviously, everybody thinks that they want to win with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and just Jefferson, but like that's that was 1-1. That was
I was about
perfect.
to say, you can't replicate that, brother. That's the best college football team we've ever seen.
No, I know. And but he would also take this job because he's got Mizzou essentially operating at its apex.
Mhm.
Whereas I think LSU's apex is higher than Florida, higher than Penn State, higher than Auburn more consistently, certainly higher than Arkansas. Like,
Man, you can probably count on one hand the programs whose apex is higher than LSU's. Like you got Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State,
A&M maybe,
maybe. But
but we don't know that yet.
I was about to say we've not really seen A&M's apex, so I'm not even confident in saying that. And like truly, like at 3 is when you start having conversations about it.
Yeah, you're like Texas, but have we seen it yet?
Yeah,
I think there's a ceiling at Ole Miss and Indiana. We don't know. We feel one at Oregon. I drink at LSU. I think is the move here, but I don't know if they would do it.
I think I think that move is probably the likeliest of the bunch that you mentioned, just because I think it strikes the right balance of a smart coaching hire that which is obviously the first thing that if you're administration that you want to make. But it's also Drink has had enough success in the SEC, so LSU fans are aware of the success Mizzou has had that you're gonna appease the fan base. And more importantly, if you're not appeased, I guarantee you by the end of the first week there, Drink will have won you over if you're an LSU fan.
All the night games, he's gonna bring his lightsaber out,
Dude,
brother.
100%.
Oh man, drink. I'm like, I was sitting there thinking like, I got a top 10 landing, and I didn't. I found it with Eli
I
Drinkwitz.
love it, dude. Yeah, I'm in on that.
And I want to see Eli Drinkwitz play the game of his life there on it. It's the jump to conclusions map. Let's see some of this or that.
Yes, sir.
Uh, that, the first time you ever watched Office Space before I get this all set up, remember the jump to conclusions map? I'm like, I can't believe this was actually made in the movie. This is the dumbest thing ever.
It's like it feels like I mean and like to the point of the movie, like it is perfect like office culture satire because like it is the exact type of thing that would be like at a like very pointless office retreat exercise. Like that's exactly what you would do. It'd be like, hey, we have a visual aid, even though you certainly do not need it for this.
No, hang on there, bud.
Yeah, exactly. Like put a cat
Yeah.
on it.
All right. we're not going to subscribe to Vibe magazine 15 times, but maybe just 12 here.
That's right.
Let's do some spins. All right. We had good luck last time. The one time I did it by myself, it didn't work out here. So the first team we've got is the Miami Hurricanes.
Hmm.
We're going to compare the vibes of them to the UCF Knights.
I think you gotta go Miami, but I will say, like, that's not a slight on UCF by any
No,
stretch. The vibes are much higher than I think. Like, I was more bullish on Scott Frost than you were coming back to UCF, and even I didn't think it would be a year one success story. But here we are.
our colleague, somebody I work with on NCAA division all the time, Erica Brockish is a UCF alumnus, and she's just like, "Yeah, that's good. We're back, and it means we're winning the Big 12 next year." And I'm like, more power to you."
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, let's do our second series of spins. We got the Air Force Falcons going up against the Auburn Tigers. I think that's a pretty good one.
I mean, good is like it's a close comparison. I don't know if anything about either of these teams is very good right now.
No.
God almighty. I'm gonna go Air Force by default because Troy Taylor's not in danger of getting fired. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like deciding factor.
Air Force is really bad. I think they're the second or they're in the bottom quarter of the Mountain West with San Jose State, Colorado State, and Nevada.
Oh, their
But
defense is truly dog water. Truly, like it's very bad.
like they're not going to fire one of their own in Troy Calhoun. Whereas
Troy
like
Calhoun, sorry, I don't know why I said
yeah,
Troy Taylor.
it doesn't matter. He got fired too. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. For his undoing, Hugh Freeze is just bargaining, man. He's like the fourth level of grief at this point.
no, 100%.
All
He
right,
did bench Jackson Arnold though, so hats off to admitting your mistakes.
I wouldn't trust Jackson Arnold to work at a hardware store.
He'd throw a wrench at you for sure, but you'd be okay.
He'd impale himself on a wall in a Jesus Christ pose, and Chris Cornell's like, "What are you doing?"
That's
I
right.
don't care if Chris Cornell's dead. He's like, "This is so stupid. I'm not gonna go shop here anymore. This
He
guy
just sits up
can't."
from the grave like the Undertaker and is just like, this is dumb.
This is not how you show me how to live, brother.
That's right.
All right, third series of spins. I want to get I'm trying to figure this out. We got Purdue. Ooh.
Mm, mm.
And Purdue is gonna go up against Syracuse. Again, not a lot of good stuff here, but I think it's a pretty interesting matchup for the two.
I think the long-term vibes, they're both decently high. Like I think you still
Yeah,
gotta have faith in Fran Brown, and I think that it's not going to be reflected record wise, but like there's been positive signs with Barry Odom taking over at Purdue. I'm going to go I'm going to go with Purdue because it is the first year of Barry Odom. There's a grace period to try to pick up the pieces of that Ryan Walters left, which not only did, he leave a bunch of pieces, but then he took a big dump on him on his way out. So you got to clean them up before you put them back together. Fran Brown, you're coming off a really successful first year at Syracuse, and like obviously the Steve Angeli injury did not help your case this year, but like you definitely took a big step back from where you were a year ago. I don't think the vibes long term are bad at Syracuse, but I do think they're like the outlook feels a little more positive at Purdue right now.
as weird as to say that, yeah, I would agree. Ryan Walters having Reese's Feces all over there in
That's right.
Ross-Ada Stadium, where the hell it's called. All right, fourth, halfway home. Let's move on to our fourth series of spins.
Let's go.
Let's go. We've already hit Auburn, so no, not doing that
No, we're not
again.
doing Auburn again.
No, 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 never Auburn twice. Mississippi State
Oh yeah.
and UConn. The two teams I thought they had wins this past week. That would have been huge for both of their programs. UConn would have gone bowling, 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 and then Mississippi State would have had its first conference win in 2 years, I think.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with UConn.
Yeah,
Just because I think Mississippi State, if you're a Mississippi State fan, I feel like there have been multiple instances this season alone that you've snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
yeah.
And like that's a tough place to be.
And I think with UConn, like Rice played you well. Rice is playing pretty good there for cousin Scott,
That's right.
cousin uncle's brother Scott, 4 times removed, whatever he's related to. But, UConn, like I think UConn needs to join a Power Four league. I think that they're getting close. I think they'd fit somewhere in like I don't know Big 12, maybe put them in the back.
The American might work.
Yeah,
I could
go
see
go back,
that.
go back to the American.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, UConn, the vibes are not bad right now, and Mississippi State. It's like Jeff Lebby, are you going to do it? And at this point, it gets in your head.
100%. It's the weight of program failures before you.
You also got to play Georgia and Ole Miss this season, so
Yeah, I mean,
that's
if you really want to simplify it, UConn is probably going to a bowl game. Mississippi State is not.
no, no. All right, the penultimate series of spins here. Let's go with the first one. Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders.
Oh, baby.
I don't care that Mike Smith didn't go there. I just assume he did.
Yeah, I mean, if not, he's a honorary alumnus.
And the Liberty Flames. I think anything is better than the vibes up there in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, yeah, I think the vibes of like a college that you and I started, like the South Harmon Institute of Technology, would be better than what's going on in Murfreesboro.
I don't know how good Liberty is this year. I'm gonna look at where they are at CUSA standings. Like if they're both in CUSA, Liberty's kind of middle of the pack. They're 3-4, 2-1 in league play. Probably not going to catch Kennesaw State or Jacksonville State. Middle Tennessee, if not for Sam Houston, would be the worst team in that league.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. All right, our last series of spins.
And Sam Houston hired Phil Longo, so like that's a bar that anyone can clear.
I mean, Middle Tennessee hired Derek Mason. So just don't hire bad people. I
Yeah, if
that's
you
good.
know they're a bad coach, maybe don't hire them.
No, it's not. This isn't. Don't sum it with a rebound here. Boise State's the first team,
Okay, okay.
and give us a good one here. Vanderbilt.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Vanderbilt just because like I don't think vibes of Vanderbilt have ever been higher than they
No,
currently are. Um, But I will say that Boise State's probably feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Like you it started off a little you stumbled a little out of the blocks after last season to start this year, but you've picked yourself up. You got the win over UNLV last or 2 weeks ago. You're in prime position in the Mountain West. Doesn't mean as much as it did last year because you're probably still not going to the college football playoff, but you're still establishing yourself as a group of five threat perennially.
this was a team that had to adjust losing Ashton Genty and I believe Dirk Cutter this past offseason.
Yeah.
So your two losses are in South Florida and Notre Dame. So like that's you're okay there.
You're doing more than fine, I promise.
Vanderbilt is effing terrible, man.
Dude, it really is. I mean, like, every week it's something unprecedented with Vanderbilt that's happening. Like, it's just unbelievable stuff what Clark Lee and everyone there has done in that program.
And when I called it, Nate Bargatze was there at game day. He probably turned to like Pat McAfee and said, "I got to get out of here. I think I'm going to lose it." It's pour one out. But Pat McAfee turned around to him and he said, "This isn't so bad, huh? Making bucks, getting exercise, working outside, bowling, 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 bowling."
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
we had what 6 teams who have lost for the seventh time this season, and a Sweet 16 that have won 6 games. All right.
100%. So we'll pour one out to start things off, and then pick up the vibes thereafter. Starts with Bill O'Brien and the Boston College Eagles. Man, Bill O'Brien probably doesn't have a job after this year. It's pretty bad.
They beat Fordham and they've lost 7 in a row. This is, along with Wisconsin and Oklahoma State, these are the 3 worst teams in the Power Four by a considerable margin.
I think for me, it's more shot. Like with Wisconsin, we saw the signs last year. We knew
Yeah.
this was heading nowhere good. But Bill O'Brien, I thought there were positive signs that we saw last year, even with the turmoil with Tommy Castellanos. Like it still seemed like Bill O'Brien had a good grasp of the program. Clearly not.
Yeah.
Another one is I mentioned it earlier about in a couple weeks ago when we talked about like the worst moves of the offseason. The Charlotte 49ers, you got to pour one out for them because they are not going bowling. And you got to think Tim Albin really regrets his decision to leave
Yeah.
Ohio, man.
It's really bad. I'm going to be in Athens shortly before the 49ers come to town. That's going to be a noon kickoff. They'll play that game at 9 a.m. just to get it done with.
You said Athens, and my first thought I was like, "What the hell's he doing in Athens, Ohio?" I don't know, like because we were just talking about Ohio. That's where
Um,
my mind went.
Banging on the door of his ex.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's almost Halloween, Athens, Ohio. I'm probably ask Winston Wilcox or Vince Nairn what they dressed up as.
That's right.
Um,
Then we're going to the MAC with the Eastern Michigan Eagles. I'm gonna be honest, MACtion hasn't started. It's about to start back up, but the Eastern Michigan is down there flirting with Kent State, and that's not a position you want to be in.
no, I mean, outside of UMass, who just came back into the league, this is the worst team in the MAC. We know that Chris Creighton's like an iconic coach. This is not a well-resourced program.
No,
Outside of Charlie Batch, it's been a really bad thing. But I hate to say, I think they've got some of that Max Crosby Raiders stink on them.
a little bit, man. Yeah, maybe if Max Crosby gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys, that could change things. Who knows?
I could. We can go three more here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pour it out for the Georgia State Panthers. It's not working out for Del McGee in Atlanta at all.
No, I mean, very tumultuous situation with his hiring, if I'm remembering correctly. Like,
Yeah, very late.
wasn't it like a May like resignation or something like that? And then Del
Yeah.
McGee took over. So like, you started behind the eight ball, but you definitely haven't recovered. That's for sure.
No, and Georgia Southern's not particularly great, but they're still light years ahead of you because they've got a proven head coach and a better football history than you.
100%.
Also, Kennesaw State's a lot better right now.
Yeah, shouts to the Owls, man.
Hoot hoot. Gonna pour one out for the Nevada Wolfpack. I think Jay Norvell killed this program.
Yeah, I mean Jay Norvell, like an action movie, just like threw a grenade, walked away, and just smiled at the explosion.
It's not working out there for God, what's his name? Jeff, the former Texas guy,
Jeff Choate?
Jeff Choate. And who was the guy before him? It was the He was a Mike Leach disciple. He was the worst one to ever coach under Mike Leach. But it's been 4 years of just absolute sucks since Norvell left.
Let's see, who was it? Was it Chris All? No, Ken Wilson.
No,
Ken Wilson.
Ken Wilson, yeah. Chris Alt's the iconic one. That's what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying. Like,
yeah.
this is the level that Nevada can be operating at, but like just one of the worst programs in the country.
It's not good. It's definitely not good.
And let's pour one out for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, which I think is actually the worst team in the Power Four.
It's real bad. Like I don't say this about many college football teams because I all college football is good college football. I almost can't bring myself to watch an Oklahoma State game. Doesn't matter who they're playing. It's just like I don't need this in my life. I know what's about to happen and it's not going to be good.
I guess the last thing I'll say about this is it's that bad, but this may be closer to what Oklahoma State football really is without Mike Gundy involved in some capacity. Like they were awful historically before the 80s and Barry
Mhm.
Sanders and Thurman Thomas. Not really good in the 90s, and they kind of turned around with Les Miles because they brought Gundy back, and
Hmm.
it's you can take Zach Robinson with you, please, before we
I
flame in a
was
parking lot. Before we flame in a parking lot of Waffle House, that guy needs to just get the hell out of Atlanta.
I was gonna say, just a small piece of advice: do not hire Zach Robinson. Let him go somewhere else.
I'm not going to say that. Let Des coach the team, dude.
I don't know if that's gonna work out, but hell yeah, it'll be entertaining.
Let Brandon Whedon coach you from a
There we
golf
go.
cart while eating pork chops.
Hell yeah,
Anything is better than this. Hell, let Ollie Gordon coach this team.
love that. I'm here for it. All right, let's go. Let's get to the positives. If you need to get a throat clear in, go ahead and do that because you're about to have to do the heavy lifting of this show during this time of the season. So we're gonna start off with a team that we just vibe checked a little bit because Boise State lost Ashton Genty, but it didn't matter because the Broncos are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
You're damn right they are. Mark Gronowski may not have revolutionized Hawkeye's offense forever, but it doesn't matter because they're still rolling under Kirk Ferentz, and Iowa is going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
You're damn right. And you know what? Shouts to Iowa. They should probably be ranked here soon because they're putting together a nice little resume. Don't
Yeah, a
hate
little
it.
bit.
Don't
I
hate
hate
it.
it.
A team that we don't think is going to make the college football playoff, but that we do think is pretty damn good. Jeff Brom, great hire because Louisville is going
Bowling, 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 bowling. Uh,
again.
the birds with teeth, man. It's inevitable.
They'll bite you and peck you to death. You can't be stopped.
No.
Mario Cristobal has never taken a knee in his entire life. Doesn't matter if it was for a national anthem or to run out the clock in the fourth quarter. He's not taking a knee, but that doesn't matter because Miami is going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do like I was gonna try to do something with like Buwlim, but I don't know how you would say that. Buwlim. Anyway, Sharon Moore might not be a good head coach, but doesn't matter because he's got a hell of a roster there in Ann Arbor, and Michigan once again is going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Damn right.
Almost positive there, but that's okay.
Yeah, we like Michigan.
You do. I hate them. That's fine. All right, let's
I
keep
like.
going.
I think they're a good football team. That's where
They
it
are.
starts.
They
It
are.
starts and ends. Another good football team. Despite the Comic-Con showing up every week in Lincoln, Nebraska, Nebraska is still winning football games, and the Cornhuskers are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
You're damn right.
Back-to-back seasons where they're bowling, man. Ollie Vandervoort is doing cartwheels in the streets.
Hey, he should be because it had been a hell of a long time since you could say it, you did it once and now you're doing it twice in 2 years. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
It's like it reminds me of there's a quote in The Office where Michael Scott is talking about losing his virginity and he's like, I waited 27 years once to have sex and then another 10 years after that. And that's Nebraska going bowling.
I was ready for that. Uh,
Anyway, speaking of having sex, Pat Narduzzi has the Pitt Panthers rolling.
bowling, 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 bowling. I wonder if Milton Wadhams has ever had sex before.
Oh, for sure. Absolute slayer out there. We haven't talked about him in a while, but we were very high on the hire when it happened. Sean Lewis, man, shouts to him because out in beautiful San Diego, he has the Aztecs going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Best thing
Dude,
to happen to San Diego since Blink-182, potentially.
100%. Certainly not the Padres.
No.
Um, And you know what? Shouts to Marshall South because Charles Huff left Marshall and immediately got Southern Miss going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Yeah, but that's the biggest shock of here of any of these inclusions here, by the way.
100%. Well, yes, but then when you realize that he just brought Marshall's roster after they won the league last year down to Southern Miss, yeah, of course they're probably going to be a pretty good football team.
Hattiesburg, get your heart out almost by Loxy. No,
That's
no.
right. So the Horned Frogs embarrassed Bill Belichick and showed us what was really going to happen. And since then, they've had a little bit of an up and down season, but it doesn't matter because they've gotten enough wins to go.
Bowling, 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 bowling. I don't
Damn
even know if
right.
I did it right, but I
Josh,
did it.
I have to second guess it every time. It's something with curled finger. I don't know. Joey Aguilar, Chip Patterson of Cover 3 podcast might like to call him Joey Jaguar, but that's okay because he probably was the right quarterback for the Volunteers because Tennessee is once again going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Got to put on my Letterman's jacket for this man.
Oh yeah, 100%. And don't say it too loud as a Georgia fan. You can't celebrate it, but too much. Um, Somehow by the work of Satan, God, some higher power, Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Way to fall ass backwards into 6-2. Unbelievable.
If Arch Manning has a pentagram tattooed on his body somewhere, it would not surprise me at this point. Some devil voodoo magic going on. Um, John Sumrall left Troy to go to Tulane, which I think was the right move for John Sumrall. But Troy is a hell of a program because once again the Trojans are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Jared Parker's got him back there in year two. Pretty good.
100%, man. It's Jared Parker. He's a quiet name who I would watch for bigger head coaching jobs. I'm not saying he's going to be Florida, Auburn, any of those jobs, but as those vacancies are filled, maybe keep your eye on Jared Parker and what that could
If
look
it
like.
doesn't work for Rich Rod, he's gonna go back to WVU.
That could be sick. And I'm still holding out hope for old Rich Rod. I like the guy. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. Devin Dampier didn't play on Saturday night, and it didn't remotely matter because the Utes absolutely beat the dog piss out of Colorado, and that made Utah go.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Yeah. They- we were recording the show, and that was just like Yeah,
We
we could.
at
John
separate
Mitchell.
moments we both saw the score going into halftime and we were like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, John Mitchell. You can wake up now.
Good Lord, man. All right, so we're almost done here. We're going to the Oregon House of Horrors in Seattle here because Jed Fish, who don't sleep on him as a candidate for Florida if Lane says no, because Washington once again is going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Yeah, congratulations to Mark Knight. Your school's going to bowl, and we're still covering the Wisconsin together, brother.
Hey, you know what? Moral victories. We'll take them. We'll take whatever we can get them. And we'll also take Big Red whenever we can get them because best mascot in college football, hands down. There's no question about it. And the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, powerhouse that they are, going once again.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Tyson Helton. That's a name also out there for a potentially powerful gig.
100%. Absolutely.
Wouldn't hate him at Virginia Tech, by the way.
Wouldn't hate him at Missouri if Eli does go somewhere.
That would be welcome to the SEC, brother. Bring the Helton brothers just bashing
Dude,
people in.
the Bash Brothers, the Helton Bash Brothers would be sick.
It's like the Powers brothers, man.
Yes, absolutely.
And this was episode 221 of Fall Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter at the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB Fall Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. This is about as many places you can on your jump to conclusions, Matt. Just think about it this way. The fans
Think of all
out.
the conclusions you can jump to. It's crazy. We
I
jump
guess
to conclusions all the time on this show.
I guess because it's Office Space, it's just like real quick. Let's just talk about some of our favorite things from the show, the movie ever.
I mean, the Michael Bolton bit is one of the funniest things in the entire world. Why should I have to change my name? He's the one who's an asshole.
He also plays the guy with the pot smoking chihuahua. Dude, is my guy.
Yeah.
Bill Lumbergh is just like one of the greatest antagonists in comedic cinema history.
Oh God, yeah, 100%. And like, I mean, it's such a beautiful like representation of office satire, like or of like what like a satirization of what office life is like. Thankfully, you and I don't have to live that life right now. We get to
No.
work from the comfort of our home or the comfort of whatever house your dog's sitting at. But like, still better than going and sitting in a cubicle day after day and dealing with TPS report BS all the time, man. And like, I just like I hear some of the things from people from our friends that we have that we work that do work in offices, not with our company, but with like other companies and like doing like traditional office work. And man, this movie was made in the early 90s and office life has not changed. It is the exact same trivial BS over and over again. And they do such a wonderful job of just like turning it up to 11 and making it seem like the most boring thing in the world. And then like, you know, you put everyone in it and it's just it makes everything's that much better. Like Peter being hypnotized to not care about any of it is so beautiful.
Although the first time I saw the shrink just die on the floor, like
Yeah.
destroyed. But look, like Cody and I do this show 2 or 3 times, about to be 4 times a week. We also write about sports. Could make more money doing something else, but like we love this because like we are the ultimate distraction for you, people that are stuck, in your 2-hour commutes, for you if you live in Los Angeles and everything like that. We'd be the guys that people would want to hang out at the water cooler that ask us about sports anyway. So naturally, we probably go and do this. I don't think you and I are really qualified to do anything else, to be honest with you.
Brother, no. Like I've had people be like, "Hey, would you want to come work here? Like we have like a copywriter job." And I was like, "That sounds like my personal hell. Like I'm super good."
Nah. One of my favorite things in the movie is like when he gets his cubicle, he's near the corner, he's eating Cheetos, playing Tetris, and he just unscrews
Oh yeah.
just because it gives himself an office view. I love that.
And I mean like I feel like because there's so many classic moments throughout, like it doesn't get talked about how funny it is just watching Milton walk out of the building after he sets it on fire. Like it's incredible stuff.
Stephen Root just like absolutely slayed that movie, probably more so than anybody because he had to talk in a very squirrely voice.
100%. Like you would say you were talking about looking up quotes for this episode and like half of his dialogue is unintelligible. Like unless you have closed captioning or like an unreal sense of hearing, which I do closed captioning. I can't hear for anything. Like I have horrible hearing. You'd be appalled to see how high the volume is up in my headphones currently. But like the fact that he can be unintelligible for 50% of his lines and you're still laughing your ass off at him, that's a testament to how good he does in the role.
I feel like every Mike Judge creation has some guy who speaks unintelligible, whether that's Milton, whether that's Boomhauer, and honestly, what either Beavis or Butthead, it doesn't really matter.
Either or, depends on the episode.
Oh,
Oh,
I do love me some King of the Hill. King of the Hill changed the game.
King of the Hill is so good. When I was a young man growing up, and I might have been a little bit shorter, had a lot less hair, and might have been a little bit more portly in stature. I had some people who called me Bobby Hill. It was fun.
We had a guy in my grade. His name was Justin. We used to call him Bobby Hill. We
Yeah.
used to, and our PE coach, Coach Wilkes, ISS, would come in there. He was like, "Bobby, what's that smell?"
Duncan
Uh,
Bobby.
Darn Bobby, Cajun Bobby, Cajun Bobby. Peggy Hill's not a good person.
No,
No,
not at
no,
all.
not at all. I saw this other thing where like there's the Gribbles and Red Corns are playing Twister. So Joseph's over there with like the spinner. Dale's really getting after it, and obviously John Redcorn's grinding on God, whatever what's Dale's wife's name?
Oh God. I got nothing. I'm
It's
totally
not,
blanking.
it's not. It might as well be Linda, whatever. I
Dale's
guess like
wife, King of the Hill. Nancy.
Nancy. There we go. Um, okay, before we get out of here, what's your absolute favorite scene from Office Space? Like, what's one that's like, this is why it's a classic, and I watch it every time I see it.
So I relate to it. It's a personal relation. Well, there's two. One that I don't personally relate to, and one that I definitely do. The one that I personally relate to is the flare scene. Like the most pointless. Like I've worked in a lot of restaurants in my life, and the absolute dumbassery that happens in a restaurant like that, and just like, oh, why don't you make the minimum 37 pieces of flair? Like that is a thing that happens so often in restaurants that like her blowing up at that is it's a perfect scene. The other one is what would you do if you had $1 million? Like it's my favorite line in the entire movie.
The one that I relate to is the day that Peter just decides not to get up and come to work on a Saturday. He sleeps until 3. Everyone's calling his phone. He's just getting a lot of rest. That was me in college at Georgia. That's why I had a terrible GPA there. I just wake up like, I think I'm gonna have some chicken fingers and some Coors Light today. So that one, and
Oh yeah.
it's made my life much harder now at 36 years old. So I paid a price for it, but man, I relaxed really good then.
Man, I by the time I got to my junior and senior year of college, I think my earliest class I had for my final 4 semesters of college was 1 p.m. That was the earliest class I had on any schedule. Like people were like, "Why are you taking?" I had a couple classes that were like they only met once a week, and it was for like 3 hours on Tuesday evenings. And they were like, "Why would you do that? Why would you take a every evening?" I was like, "Okay, it's Tuesday. I'm like the best stuff's definitely not happening on a Tuesday night, so like I'm most likely gonna have that free. I don't have to go to that class again." And it was my only class on Tuesdays. So like that's a win-win. And like I would eat my dinner in class. It was great.
I'd have like 4 back to back to back, for the business school. It's like, yeah, let's break your soul from 9 to 3 every day. Maybe that.
Shouts to the creative writing degree. We didn't take life too seriously.
No, I would say I'm a Michael Bolton fan too.
That's right. Why should I change my name? He's the asshole.
I don't know what you would do for $1 million, but I know what we would do. We would hang out and do some false start.